Everyone's favorite green ogre came on the scene in 2001 when DreamWorks released its first film in the Shrek series. Along with his princess Fiona and his sidekick Donkey, he charmed his way into the hearts of audiences everywhere and eventually had 3 sequels to follow. What some may not know is that after their story ended on the big screen, it made its way to the stage to live on in Shrek the Musical. The show ran for a 12-month run on Broadway before closing, but it's continued on in touring productions and community theater productions all across America. Today, Theater Winter Haven brings the show right here to Polk County, and I'm going to give you a look behind the scenes from start to finish. Let's take a look at auditions.
I'm excited. Just a little nervous, but I'm really excited. If you're not nervous, there's something wrong with you.
No matter what audition you're going to, I always feel a intimidation.
I think it's something people don't think a lot about is the math of casting, and particularly the math of casting a musical. There's 18 ensemble roles, okay? 18 roles dedicated to just all these multiple parts.
I always say that the ensemble of these musicals here at Theater Winter Haven are the hardest working actors in the county, at least, for that time, because they play anywhere from 3 to 8 roles during the course of the evening.
Practice camera acting.
It's always interesting coming to a theater you've never worked at and meeting all the people who are auditioning with you, and you have no idea what to expect. And when I got here and I was hearing people auditioning, because you could kind of hear people singing through the door, I was blown away with the amount of talent that's here, and I realized, wow, this is going to be tough.
I was just really excited that when we heard the announcement that they had gotten the permission to do Shrek. It's a great show. It's just, there are no bad parts in the show. It's all fun. I would love to be Mama Ogre at the beginning, Shrek's mother, because that's a super fun part. But I would take anything. There's Dragon, Wicked Witch, Fairy Godmother. There's lots of good parts.
I'm good, how are you? I'm very well.
I'd say the dream role is Donkey, but a more realistic role would be Pinocchio. So hopefully I get Pinocchio. It requires a strong falsetto, but I think I can do it. I can manage.
This is going to be a highly competitive audition. You need to bring your absolute best game. Anything short of that, there are only 28 slots. And we're already almost done with that. So, and that's our first night. So you've got to bring your best game.
Her giving that speech before did tend to get a little bit of an intimidation, but I think I pushed through. So.
Actors came prepared with 16 to 32 bars from a song, and they signed up, they signed in, and they were given a number. And then when their number was called, they started out in choreography, where they learned a bit of dance that the director then came and saw.
Some of them have to tap. So if you're an ensemble callback person at that audition and you don't tap, your chance just went way down, right? Because now you're only in the market for 8 roles, not 10, because I have 10 tap dancers.
And then once they were finished, they waited to start singing.
It's good to see you.
You as well. Time flies, time dies.
Then, how many of those tappers are tenors? How many of them are sopranos? How many of them are altos? What size are they? What other characters are they going to play? In the math of casting, that grid, the Shrek casting grid, was 11 pages long to make each person make sense.
We've developed a spreadsheet kind of way of tracking the characters, and that way we know when a quick change is going to have to happen, and we've got dressers back here that help them make those quick changes.
Girl 4 has a track, and girl 4 plays this part, and then she's got 2 scenes off to change costume, and then she plays this part, then she's got a fast change, then she plays this part for 5 scenes in a row, then she's got a huge change, then she plays another part, right? And you got to track that and make sure she can do all that. And is she the right vocal part? Because in scene 1 and in scene 7 and in scene 9 of Act 2, she has solo lines. So does her vocal quality fit those solo lines? And in scene 6, she has a big dance break. Is she a strong dancer?
That's something that we've developed over time of doing, especially Katrina and I together, of how to make this run smoothly and how to make a small cast be able to appear like a lot of different people. That
gave the director, the choreographer, the music director enough time to kind of see where the potential lied and whether or not they were bringing something to the table that they could use in Shrek. And that kind of helps weed out those people who may be great but may not necessarily be great for Shrek.
That's, I think, is the trick to it and the kind of magic of the theater of it.
With auditions finished and cuts made, the actors still weren't done yet. The pressure only grew for those actors brought in for callbacks. Katrina and her team were ready to put their top picks to the test and transform them into fairy tale creatures. With the stakes high, actors were expected to continue to bring their A-game. This was it, the final stage which would determine their fate in Shrek the Musical.
Callbacks are interesting because the first hour and a half, you know that you're about to send a whole bunch of people home and that they're going to end up being pretty disappointed.
Katrina started us off with some theater games and then said, all right, you're going to be reading a lot.
So this is a game that I love. I absolutely love this game. And it's a little ridiculous, so it'll be fun to warm us up. I think that everybody's calling it whoosh these days, but I don't really know if it has a name. The basic game is whooshing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then if you want to stop it, you can do a whoa, and that sends it back. Right? And it comes back around till someone else does it. Boing. You can also, if you don't want to whoosh or whoa, you can boing. You can shout out Funkalicious. Everybody has to dance. Or you can zip it in any other direction in the circle. Whoosh.
Whoosh. Whoosh. Whoosh.
Whoa.
Zip.
Oh, good. Whoosh. Whoosh. Whoosh.
Boing.
Boing.
Funkalicious.
It's such a fun process when it's with a director like Katrina, because she's so encouraging and she gives the actor like a space to kind of like play in, and you feel comfortable to make strong choices, and that's, I think, what's really important when you're in a callback situation like that, so a director can see, you know, what you could possibly bring to the role.
And then all the people she called back were all immensely talented. It was very difficult for her to cast the show.
We really kind of wanted to do callbacks as big picture as possible. You know, we did that huge fairy tale character call, you know, and we wanted to get people in and out as fast as we could, obviously, but of course we were there till, you know, 11 or so.
We called back, I want to say, around 45 people, and in those callbacks we got to see the actors prepare some music ahead of time that they brought with them for specific characters that they were being looked at for.
No one ever
Then they did some reading with Katrina, the director.
And I would first like to know the name of my champion.
Shrek.
Sir Shrek.
Ogres are like onions. They stink. Yes, no. Oh, they make you cry. No. Oh, you leave them out in the sun, they get all brown and start sprouting those little white hairs. No. Layers.
I had the most fun during that fairy tale call because people came in and they really knew the material, they knew what they were doing, and they made some really off-the-wall, I hesitate to use the word cartoony, but you know, some really you know, fairy tale kind of choices.
Singing for, the Freak Flag song, I was trying to do this weird Pinocchio voice, and I tried to really commit, and I think we got some laughs, so hopefully, yeah.
That was really fun about the fairy tale call specifically, was getting to really start to see how people were kind of dividing into little camps of, well, here's some younger, smaller looking fairy tale people, and well, these are definitely, Papa Bear kind of people, and these are definitely King and Queen kind of people, and that started to really show itself, even though all we did was sing Freak Flag.
I'm assessing skill level, I'm assessing them vocally for Philip. Oh gosh, I can't use her. She's a soprano, and I love these other three. So I'm doing that, and I'm also going, boy, that would be a great person in the ensemble because they're a rock, So all of that's starting to happen, and there's the people that are probably going to get the players starting to bubble to the top, and you make that cut, and that's a really hard cut. That cut always breaks my heart. Then I get into the meat with that last group that's left and figure it out.
So, how do you want to do this?
Why don't you give me,
Can I give you the bottom scoring people for me?
You can. I'm trying to hold on to the 4s and the 4.5s, just because.
Do you want to go a bigger cut than this, or is this an okay place to start?
What are we losing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
Because I can go one step further. I can go back to 3 and see if...
You want to go to 3s and see
It's going to be a much bigger cut all of a sudden, I think.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to hold on to the children right now.
Okay.
The young Fionas, teen Fionas, and sing them.
Yes.
Everybody else.
And make a cut. Have everybody else chill. Then we'll make one big cut.
Okay.
At the end of the fair. At the end of the.
Because they're going to do the first half of it. So.
I come in and I go, I'm going to get so surprised tonight.
I don't know that there were any obvious choices. I try really hard to come into auditions with a clean slate in my mind.
That's pretty guaranteed. That somebody that I think I know is going to shock me and thrill me.
There were definitely some people that came in and I said, I never would have pictured this person in this role, but this really fits them quite well. And that's a great thing to happen in auditions. That's a great moment because we all sit at the table and we go, can you believe that? Like, can you believe what so-and-so just did? They just walked in here and wow. We love that stuff. We love when people come in and surprise us.
I went, all right, what do donkeys do? Well, he stands on his hooves, so I had to do this over-articulated leg thing, and I got real down deep. And I took that as an initial and then just did the clowning stuff that I usually do. Made big, bold choices. And while the other people in the audition, because I had seen what they had done, made good choices, none of them really brought a physicality to it. It was like, well, this character is really, first and foremost, really physical before you even get to all the emotional stuff. It's like, so let me make a big physical choice and see what goes. And it worked.
It was a whole lot of fun.
With auditions and callbacks completed, the cast is ready to begin their work on Shrek the Musical. Behind the scenes, the creative and design teams have already been hard at work for months. Months of production meetings and discussion take place between Katrina and her team before auditioners even set foot in front of the director. This is a vital step in the production process.
Musicals are really hard because there's thousands of details, but I know it pretty well before I start talking to a designer.
So in Act 1, Katrina and Jean will do Story of My Life together. The 2/3 of that is me. And then we get into that da 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 boom da 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 and the chorus line moment and that's when I think we should work together.
Awesome.
On that. So
4 months from the opening night, I'm in the script. And by in the script, I mean reading it at least once a day. I try to read the play 10 to 15 times before I pick up the phone to talk to anybody about it. Because my job, more than anything else, is to be the person that knows the play the best in the room.
I mean, all these people are in Duloc, those horrible Duloc red and blue.
Right.
They're dolls. That's why you need to look at it, because they do this kind of stuff. Yeah, they're dolls.
Then generally, for me, I talk to the scenic designer next. I just, as an artist, scenic, the world the play takes place in really speaks to me. So I will generally then reach out to the scenic designer and go, hey, you want to talk about this world and what it looks like?
He could come and stop,
Yeah,
and they'd come and put him in a little carry. And
what I wanted is the gate to be almost like a pet door. So it's tiny that he comes through.
You expect him to come through this big thing, and then
yeah, and it's
then it just
yeah,
lifts
and well,
like
it
a
just
doggy
lifts.
door, like
Yeah,
a
it
doggy
oh
lifts
wait, we
up.
gotta figure out. Can we get him a
Usually
ramp?
at the same time, I'm reaching out to the musical director because I'm a musician myself. So the music of a musical really gets to me quick. Like a lot of what I know about the play, I know from the music, how it makes me feel. I'll reach out to the costume designer, I'll reach out to the lighting designer and kind of go, okay, everybody, this is what we're doing. We're in a swamp, you know, or this is what I think the play needs to feel like. In the case of Shrek, we talked a lot about the movie. So not about the Broadway musical that we were going to be doing, but about how the movie made us feel as audience members and what we loved about the movie.
The audience is going to wait for it. I was watching the cartoon the other night for the 5th time and thought, oh yay, here's I'm a Believer. I mean, and I'm sick of Shrek. You know?
I sort of have a great team of people to pull from here, and so we talk a lot about, you know, would this show be the best for this designer or this designer, because you know their strengths.
I think we bring in the scram upstage to hide the dragon, because we want to reveal. I think we want the dragon to be there in back of the donkey when it happens. When it raises up. Yeah. So even if there's some kind of little wall or something, that thing can raise up and see it and come down and do the number.
Everybody sort of goes to their corners, and then we come back together, and that's usually starting about 3 months from opening. And that can wait, you know, vary a little bit. Some of my designers live out of town, so I'm talking to them on the phone. Do a lot of Skyping, a lot of FaceTime, a lot of trading drawings back and forth, lots and lots, hundreds and hundreds of emails.
All right, so we have to talk about
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
650.
How are we doing on numbers?
2 right now.
A show like Shrek is nothing without the scenery to transport the audience to the world of the fairy tales. Dan Chesnicka pulled twice the weight while serving as an actor in the show by taking on the task of creating a multitude of props. In addition to a strong need for convincing props, a show like this one must successfully transport the viewers to uncommon locations such as the Tower of Lord Farquaad, a dragon's keep, and a swamp, just to name a few, which makes a strong set a thing of high importance.
We have a set designer, in this case Alan Reynolds, who works with Katrina for months and months, the director, months and months before we ever do anything, to determine what the look and the feel is going to be. Alan does a set design, and from there, the creative process gets kicked up a notch. I don't want to say it starts, because certainly it started months and months and months before that with Alan's drawings and with Katrina's input and all that kind of stuff. But these guys in the shop are magicians, you know, Gary and Matt, to build all of these things with consideration for our budget. We're a community theater. It's not like we're on Broadway and we can install elevators everywhere and do a lot of things the easy way. Just the number of different factors that they have to think about to be able to put the first 2 sticks together is remarkable. And then to be able to do it in such a way where, I mean, people probably don't even think about the Rubik's Cube that goes on backstage when all these set pieces have to be stored in a certain way in order for them to come out on stage at the right time and land in the exact right spot at the exact right time, so the light is focused properly and so it magically appears to the audience. Mostly, I think my greatest contribution has been able to make the props, a lot of the different props for the various characters and the puppets that we have in the show. The mouth is simply a squeeze to open and close the mouth. The eyebrows are each done through this unit here. I cut out a little circle and I made a rotating bolt that goes all the way through that's attached to the eyeball. So as I turn this plate, it also turns the eyeball. So here's right, attached by a spring, so it always bounces back to neutral, left, and then both together. And then each arm, I cut a big wedge into her armpit. So when you push the dowel in or out, it moves her arms in and out as well. I had to learn about puppetry Like, I've never done that before. I also made the exploding bird that starts out Act 2. You know, I had to figure out a way to shoot feathers up into the air at the same time that the bird disappears. And Pinocchio's noses, both the Act 1 nose and the Act 2 nose. So for example, the Pinocchio nose I made by using a bicycle brake cable, and I affixed that to the inside of the nose, and the cable follows around his face to along the strap that holds on his nose. The nose is actually made of wood. I carved it from wood, so it's like a real puppet's nose. The bike cable goes down his arm and attaches onto his suspenders. So when he tells his lie, he leans back and hooks his thumb into the cable, pulls the cable out, which extends his nose. And I also had to work on the dragon. We rented the dragon. It's not ours. I didn't build the dragon. But when we got here already, she had a broken spine that made it difficult to hang on. The poles were all cut for different sizes for different actors that were underneath it. The eyeball, one eyeball didn't work at all. It was broken. So I had to reimagine a lot for how it works with our actors in our set, and make sure that the eyes fluttered properly and the wings flapped properly and that the sticks were all the right height and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I initially started to do, but as I progressed, and whenever I saw a need for something cool or somebody mentioned something, I would just go ahead and make it. When we're telling a story, any story, you know, any way I can serve in telling that story, I will do, especially when it's with my dear friends like Katrina and this gang of actors and actresses and stage crew. If I can make it a little bit better, whether it means, you know, building a set or painting a wall or building a prop, I'm in.
In a world where familiar characters such as Pinocchio and the Three Bears coincide, it's important to create a strong visual element to allow the audience to identify with them. Costume designer Camille McClellan and her makeup designers work together to deliver strong but unique interpretations of these characters that viewers already know and love.
Having seen the animated film, you certainly have an expectation of well, there's lots of fairy tale creatures and that sort of thing. And I knew it was going to be a big show. I didn't know the exact count, but I had kind of steadied myself as far as the number. If I'm designing a show from the ground up, I tend to first think about my color palette. Then I start thinking about the period that we're working in, the silhouette of the costumes are going to create. And then I kind of go from there. I start looking at the needs of things that may happen during the course of the show. Is it very important that something gets pulled out of someone's pocket? Well, that costume's got to have a pocket. If I'm doing a show like Shrek, where I'm borrowing or renting costumes from other locations, and we're kind of pulling from a lot of different stocks of costume, then I have to start trying to work on making sure that all the bits and pieces that come from different locations look like they're from the same concept. Let's take Mad Hatter. Everybody knows what that hat's supposed to look like, you know, so you got to start there. Then there are recent versions of like Alice in Wonderland, which is what the White Rabbit and the Mad Hatter come from. So you need to kind of think about that as well, because again, it's that audience expectation. Oh, that's the Mad Hatter. I recognize him.
There's 20 fairy tale creatures. So we hired Ron Wolick, who did our wigs and makeup for the fairy tale characters. And he's done individual concepts for each one of them. They've all come in and had an hour to 90-minute class for each one of them, learning how to create their own look. There's a moment early in the play when they all come to the very front edge of the stage. They're about 6 feet from the front row of the audience. And his craftsmanship and his design and the actors' beautiful, deliberate work on themselves really just pops off the stage, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting to see all that. When I started working on the play, I knew that visually, I wanted to take the Ogre makeup for Shrek as far as we could. A lot of companies choose just to paint an actor green, and that's fine. You know, they may have limitations with budget or time for whatever reason, but we're so blessed here. We have resources, and so I went to my boss, Norman Small, the producer, and said, I really want to really make sure our ogre looks fantastic. And he was in complete agreement.
I have a special effects company here in Orlando. Been doing makeup and special effects for over 30 years. And I'm actually a veteran here of Theater Winter Haven. And since we were already fabricating all of the appliances for theaters around the world, the director, Katrina, contacted me to come and assist and give them a hand getting the show up and going. What we make for our ogres are prosthetic appliances. These are all fabricated out of foam latex, and the actor will get a new one each night. When we start creating the Shrek and we go to do the application, the first thing is he will get his microphones wired on. In this case, they come on his forehead, and we get him set with that. He gets powdered down because he's going to be very hot inside. And the cowl is foam, rubber, and spandex and will slide over the actor's head. It leaves his face open, but the rest of his head is covered, and that already has the ears on it. And we punch little holes through for the microphone to come through. Then we bring in the face. This all gets coated with medical grade adhesive, as does his face, and it's slowly applied and fit directly onto the performer, and it overlaps back an inch or two onto the cowl. So when it's all glued down, it ends up seamless, transferring from the prosthetic face into the cowl. Then we finish off his makeup with his eyes, mouth, add some lips and eyebrows, and he's ready to go and be green. It was exciting for me to see him on stage the first time, actually seeing the creation come to life, not just in all its bits and pieces.
You know, you get lucky or not in casting. In the case of Matt, I am blessed beyond words. And when he walked out for photo call, I really got choked up because I thought, there's my Shrek. You know, I've been dreaming about this guy for 6 months, and now here he is.
On the family of ogres, we don't need to do the full face on them. So instead of foam latex prosthetic like this, we use slush rubber latex prosthetics. They're more durable and can be reused, and they only get a nose. Then the rest of the face is theirs, just painted green and filled in with makeup. Because they are on stage for such a short period of time, the noses are actually just taped on with toupee tape so that they can quickly change characters after. And the comments that we've gotten back are amazing, where the director said the audience just had an audible gasp the moment that he walked on. And that's the biggest praise I could ever have.
You know, theater is art, but it's also craft. And it's when the two combine that the magic happens. So that's definitely a moment like that, because the actors are doing physical work, and then they are being supplemented by these amazing costumes, and then this makeup design, and it all comes together and it lands on something that's really, truly just a magical moment. It's what theater is all about.
While the makeup and costume designs are essential to creating an identifiable character on stage, it is not necessarily the most important part of the process. Director Katrina set up a character workshop for the actors in the early stages of rehearsals in order to give them an opportunity to polish their portrayals and strengthen them. In a unique stage of the production process, actors got a chance to just play and work together to figure it out in that moment.
The importance of connecting movement to character is essential in any acting job, but when you're working with creatures or animals or characters that aren't in our usual human form, then that physicality really becomes important, because without it, you're a person.
Trudy, Bruner, and I have worked together for over 30 years. We're very close friends. We've written a number of plays together, and a few years ago we wrote a play that was about a giraffe. The first giraffe to come from Africa and to be seen in the Western world. I saw how gifted she was with non-human creatures played by humans. So I've had her on my radar as being highly skilled. And so when I got this job, I thought, I wonder if I could get Trudy to come and do her magic.
The key
to finding maybe something that you're looking for is to let go as much as you can of who you are and what you do, you know, because we do our physicality all day long and we don't think too much about it. So if we can maybe get rid of some of that and do something a little different, then maybe there's something in there that will appeal to you for your creature, for your character.
The goal was to have all of these actors who are playing all these different creatures, these freaks, these non-human people, quote unquote, to get them to figure out some sort of physicality for them that they can live in throughout the course of the show, and that they can learn and stick to and really, really grasp, so that when the audience sees them, they're immediately identifiable.
Nobody's ever been a witch, not in this company, not as far as I know, or a sugar plum fairy, or a bear, or a wolf. So they got to figure out how things get processed.
It comes down to an essence and a gesture and a posture, which might sound simple, but finding it is highly imaginative and creative.
You're going to decide on a ritual that your creature has, and you're going to perform it. And it's going to be pantomime, you know, no props or anything. So you're going to just pantomime it and perform it.
No, hold on a minute. I'm a little tied up.
Careful. I'll get that for you, Humpty. Your name, ma'am?
Princess Fiona, or you may call me your one true love.
Not today.
In the theater, we call that deep work. We call that work where they don't get to haul out their bag of tricks and do the stuff that they're famous for. It's uncomfortable, it's embarrassing, it's, you know, a very different experience for them. That kind of deep work takes a lot of courage, and second guessing is counterproductive to it, so they have to be very brave and not get embarrassed and just go in there and make fools of themselves.
I thought they were extraordinary, imaginative, easy, you know, like facile, and certainly ready to jump into the next stage of their rehearsals. So it was fun being here and getting to see them do it.
Just like any good theater production, there's an extensive rehearsal process involved in getting a show on stage. From learning lines and getting off book to nailing vocal parts and learning to dance on the set with stage lights, it all comes together over a matter of weeks after many long hours on stage. With plenty of hard work and dedication, the actors, directors, and technicians have been working to get the show on its feet.
In a good rehearsal process, every moment is important. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but it's true. Every moment is important, from auditions, finding your cast, to generally the first sing-through, if you have one, all the way to tech and the night before we open. Everything's really important. The most important thing that I can say about the rehearsal process is making sure that it's scheduled properly, and which is all Katrina and Phil and Jean, making sure that they have a good enough schedule, working around people's conflicts. Who am I going to have here? Who is the strengths? Where do they need to fit in? Katrina needs to figure out, all right, so I'm going to block these scenes. This scene has a song, so does that mean that they must have Phil to learn the song first before I block it? Or is it not extremely important for them to know the song before I block the scene?
The most important thing for me is really forming the relationship with the people I share the stage with, because we have to show that chemistry, like we're best friends. So that's the most important thing for me is, I mean, of course, learning the lines in your songs and all that, but it's really clicking with your cast members.
Everyone's just kind of fitting together really well. And I think the subject matter and the overall just kind of story that this show tells is really lending itself to everyone kind of just fitting into their own little spot. And it's really, everyone's getting along really well.
A lot of people I know from the cast of Mary Poppins or from just being here in Winter Haven, or even people that I'm just meeting now, it's like I heard about them and they heard about me and it's like, I've been wanting to meet you, like, or I saw you in that, or I saw you in that, you know. And then Matt, who plays Shrek, and Chris, who plays Donkey. We've been laughing a lot and being idiots. And I guess you have to if you're gonna fart a whole bunch of times together on stage. So, gotta get started now.
Do you want me to move while I'm saying the line, or
No,
say the line?
because that's a great laugh.
Okay.
Oh, jeez, I'm like a crackpot magnet. Then move. Then Fiona goes.
This is how a dream comes true.
We knew when we cast it, these people were going to pick up things pretty quickly because just the way that they behaved at auditions and callbacks. You know, we knew that this was going to be an easy teaching game.
90, all ladies, 2, 3, and.
From the music perspective, it's an easy teaching game. I think from choreography, it was an easy teaching game as well. The thing that I love about that is that from day one, we get to start doing really fine detail kind of work. So I didn't have to spend 3 days of rehearsal going, this is your note, you know, and even through this last week, I'm still gonna have to go back and touch up some things because people are human and they forget things, and that's okay. And I'm just gonna go in and remind them of these little things. You know, it's like I said in the beginning about deciding what the important parts of the music are and then convincing everyone else that those are important things and that they should do them all the time. Nothing drives me more crazy when I go to a show in English and I cannot understand what's happening on stage. You know, when a large group of people start singing and you go, what are the words that they're saying though? It sounds very pretty, but what are the words? And I think that this group of people really enjoys words. And so if you give them something text related, if you say, you know, you have to be very clear about observing the rest after, let your freak flag wave, they will do it as long as they get reminded about it once or twice, you know. And so if that's the bulk of what my job has to be on this project, is reminding people of those little detail things, then that's a breeze, you know, because it's so much easier than having to go back and be like, this is an A flat, you need to sing the A flat. Sitzprobe is an old German opera term, which literally means to sit and probe. And originally it was the first reading of the orchestra with the singers. And so you would come in and the orchestra would look at the music for the first time and they would plow through it.
And there's nothing like hearing an orchestra play the songs you've been singing just with the piano for a long time.
The moment that the orchestra first played the beginning of the overture, I just freaked out, and I looked around the room for everybody to be freaking out, and everybody's working, and I was like, okay, just me freaking out. But it's such a stronger sound.
It's a great moment for communication and for the ability to make sure that, you know, if there's a vocal line and an instrumental line that are the same, that they're played the same way or they're sung the same way. It's a great opportunity to settle into some tempos if we've been playing with that a little bit. It's a great opportunity for the cast to hear the orchestra for the first time, for me to hear the orchestra for the first time, and to just be all in one place, because eventually in a couple days we're going to all be in different places doing 1,000 different things, and I think actors really love Sitzprobe because it's that fun moment where you just get to hang out and do the music.
It was my first Sitzprobe, and I loved it because I loved watching everyone play. I loved seeing their process as well. I enjoyed seeing Phil in another capacity than just like the vocal music director. It was fun. I loved it. It was very enjoyable.
As every piece comes in, I get more and more excited about it. So that was just, that's one of my favorite rehearsals in any rehearsal process, because you know, you've been spending all this time learning choreography and you know, working on the acting and everything. One of my favorite things is just to be able to like belt stuff out, you know.
Things are looking up, things are looking up. Here into luck. The song hits the past, takes the way to get around.
A dry tech is You go through and it's just the stage managers and it's just the crew and the lighting designer and the director, and you go through all the technical cues. Oftentimes the lighting designer will really solidify and figure out a lot of the lighting cues on dry tech, where the crew is there because one, they need to know what the scene changes are, two, they need to stand on stage and just stand there while the lighting designer focuses everything. Wet tech is when you add the actors and it's more fluid because it's moving and you're really getting the scene changes. Yesterday was not about scene changes. Today is about scene changes and getting everything going. And you have the scenes in between that the actors still say to get stuff, but you can still stop, go back, and it's still all about the tech. It has nothing to do with the actors. You're just adding the next layer.
There's a lot of stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, so it takes... Today we're here about 12 hours and we won't even get through the entire show today.
I always say that my job as a director this week is to battle fatigue and fear. We've been going, great guns for 7 straight weeks. We have been, now these last 5 days, the production team's done 5 straight 15-hour days. So my team is really tired. The actors are tired too, but the actors also get afraid. They're afraid they might not make a costume change, or they might forget a prop, or they're afraid they just might not do a good job. They get afraid. And my job is to, get my director sword out and battle back the fatigue and the fear so they can keep growing and keep getting stronger.
From the beginning of the process, I can remember the first rehearsal that I had with the full cast. We ran, I think, pages 1 through 40, just stumbled through them. And the stumble through was so exciting. So from then, I've just had such a great expectation for it.
This show is going to be incredible. Hands down, this is one of the best shows I've ever been involved with. The cast is incredibly talented.
It's gonna blow you away, just like it blew us away the first time we saw Matt, just like the first time I heard that orchestra. It is a strong story and such good music, so much fun.
It's funny, it's vast, it's noisy, it's adorable, it's clever, it's got all that stuff. It's got great dance numbers, it's got dancing rats. I mean, what more do you need? It's got dancing rats and a dragon, come on. But at the end of the day, those things are meaningless if there's not a story to take home with you. I think that the writer, David Lindsay-Abaire, who did the adaptation, did a magnificent job maintaining the integrity of that message of unity and acceptance. And, well, I get choked up every time at the end. When they end up together, Fiona and Shrek, I end up with a lump in my throat.
This thing's going to be magical. It's going to surprise a lot of people and blow the roof off this place.
It's been a long and exciting process, and Shrek the Musical is set to hit the stage here at Theater Winter Haven. Thanks for joining me on this special edition of Out and About Art. Tune in next month, and until then, enjoy this preview of Shrek the Musical.